Hi Revolve, my name is Allana Davison, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create the ultimate glowing and glam makeup look for summer. Now we're going to start off with the base, which in my humble opinion is the most important part to achieve that glowing summer skin. We got to add all the glowing products. We want to make your skin look as natural and succulent as possible when we're outside in the sunshine. And we're going to be layering up some dewy and glowy products to do that. So starting off with the primer, this is the iconic London Underglow Blurring Primer. This one is so juicy, makes your skin look wet, and also gives a glowing finish underneath all the rest of your makeup. And using a glowing primer underneath your foundation is just going to give you that natural lit from within look. And if there's additional benefits in the primer, like a blurring effect, then it's just going to make the base look all the more flawless. Next, we're going to go in with foundation, and you can use whatever base product you prefer. You could use a tinted sunscreen. If you wanted to get an extra layer of protection for the sun, you could use a tinted moisturizer, BB cream, what have you. I love the McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime foundation. This one is so light and natural, yet it has buildable coverage. So I can use it no matter what I'm doing. If I want to go outside in the natural sunlight, I can use a small layer of it. Or if I want to build it up for a more glam night out, it kind of does a little 2-in-1, which I love. Give it a little shake, pump it into the palm of your hand. This is key. And if you want to have the most natural finish, you want to build the product up into the brush. Thank you, Katie Jane Hughes, for that tip. And then apply it in small layers to the skin. Less is more when it comes to your base products, especially when you're going outside. You want to build up your base products with small layers so you don't go overboard and it looks as natural as possible. This is also going to continue to let that glow shine from within and all over your face. So I'm just buffing small layers into the skin. You could also use a beauty blender if you wanted a very natural finish as well. And if you're a real pro, you can also just blend this in with your fingers, but ain't nobody got time for that. I'm using a brush. Now, some people like to go straight in with concealer after using something like a tinted sunscreen, and that's so fine. I personally always love to use some kind of base product, whether it is a foundation or a BB cream or whatever, just because I do have a lot of redness and discoloration all throughout my face, and I just love to have that one even layer that evens it all out, and it makes such a difference when I go outside. And if you're like me and your face doesn't match your neck, be sure to take a little bit of that down the neck too. Next up, we're going in with our cream bronzer. I love to use a shade that kind of acts like a bronzer and a contour in one. So I'm getting a little bit of shaping and chiseling on my face, but I'm also adding a bit of warmth. Now I am definitely on the more pale side of life, so I need to use a light hand with this and use products that are a little bit more sheer and natural looking on the skin. But I love to apply my cream bronzer and contours before my concealer because it kind of gives you a little bit of an underpainting effect and makes it look even more natural when you see it IRL. This is the Tower 28 Sculptino. You can dip your brush into the product and then onto the palm of your hand to remove any excess product. And that will also help you to build it up in smaller layers and not go overboard on the bronzer, which I got no problem with. I love me some bronzer, especially in the summertime. Now, if I'm using a product that acts like a contour and bronzer in one, I love to definitely apply it where the sun would naturally hit on my face, which is the tops of my cheeks, the tops of my nose, and then up here on my forehead above my brow. But I also do love to take a little bit of it just along my jawline. Some people call it the 3 method, so you can kind of apply it wherever you feel, but I pretty much like to just hit all the perimeters of my face and then just on the top of my nose and cheeks here where the sun would naturally hit. And if you want a real monochromatic look, you can also just take your brush on top of your eyelid and make sure that it's all blended in there. And then it'll really look natural, like you just woke up like this. I absolutely love this bronzer. It gives such a natural glow and such a nice sun-kissed touch to the skin. Obsessed. Okay, now onto my favorite part, concealer. Now, even though we got such great coverage from our foundation, I do like to go ahead and just brighten up the inner parts of my eyes and around some of the high points of my face just to make it all look cohesive. And then when you're blending it in on top of the bronzer, it just melts everything together and it gives it the most natural look. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the concealer into the palm of my hand, smush it into my brush, prime the bristles, and then go ahead and build up those small layers. I'm starting off on the inner corner of my eye because this is where I have the most darkness and discoloration. I definitely want to brighten this up and make me look more awake. But again, I don't want to go too heavy-handed with the concealer, so I'm just using very small amounts. I get a little bit of extra redness here on my chin and just around my nose and mouth. So I like to go in with an extra little layer here, and then also just a smidge on my forehead, just to make it all blend together. Blend, 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 till you can't blend anymore. Now, I couldn't possibly do a glowing makeup without soaking myself in setting spray. I love the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. I could soak in this. It also just helps to make everything look melted and blended together, and then adds a little bit of a sheen and some hydration and a glow. Truly chef's kiss. And then we're gonna let the base products soak in, do their thing, and we're gonna do the eyes. Now, if we're talking summertime glam, I need something that's gonna stay on my eyes. I want it to be easy, I want it to look natural and effortless, and I love nothing more than a smoky brown, lived-in smoky eye. And you can do all of that with 1 or 2 products. So I'm starting out with the Eye of Horus Goddess Pencil in the shade Brown. And my top tip that I've recently learned on how to create the easiest smoky eye ever is to take a small little brush, remove the product from the pencil, and then literally lift and stab it into your lash line. So you literally want to take your finger, press it onto your eyelid, and just lift it up and smush that product directly onto the lashes. So you're not going fully into your waterline, you're just kind of pressing it right along those lashes. Ooh. And this is gonna give definition to your eyes without getting all over your waterline and looking messy. And if you have very sensitive red eyes like me, this is gonna save you. It always looks so funny when I'm doing this. Like, don't look at my face while I'm putting eyeliner into my eyeball. But if you guys can see the difference, it just adds a little bit of depth and definition just under those lashes and just instantly makes your lash line look fuller. So even if you didn't wanna do anything else, you could just do this tip. Such a difference. Okay, then I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna do it on the top of the lashes. So I'm just blending this in with a tiny little brush. I'm just gonna really softly flick this out and just keep blending and blending away as I go up on the eye. And this is just gonna have a little gradient effect, add a little bit of definition, a little bit of smokiness without feeling too heavy, especially in the summertime. And listen, your girl is sweaty, okay? I can't apply too much product onto my eyes on a good day, but especially not when I'm gonna sweat it away into the night. Then we're gonna do the same thing on the lower lash line. Just take a little bit of product. Again, less is more. Definitely build up those layers. As the professional makeup artists always say, it's easier to add product than it is to take away. So try to build it up, especially if you're new to the smoky eye life. And that's also why I love using a brown eyeliner instead of a black, because it just instantly has a little bit more of a softer, more natural look. Sometimes if you go heavy-handed in with the black eyeliner, it's just really intense and it can be really hard to fix anything if you mess it up. So I'm just really softly taking that all along the lower lash line and just bringing that up and connecting it to the liner that we put on top. And just kind of use your finger to smudge it away. And just with that tiny little bit of product, we've already created such a soft, easy, smoky eye. It looks so natural. You can hardly tell or see that I have any product on my face, but your girl is smoky and glam and ready for a night out. And all that took was 1 eyeliner and 1 tiny little brush, and we already have a perfect lived-in smoky eye. It's my favorite hack ever. It is so foolproof and it works every time. And it's my favorite way to do a natural glowing glam. This is my Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. I'm gonna take the bronzer on a big fluffy brush, use that to set in a little bit of the powder on the face, which you don't technically have to do, but when you mix your cream and powder products, it just helps to blend that in on the face. It sets it in and helps it to last longer throughout the day, especially on those hot summer days. But then I also love to take it on a small eyeshadow blending brush and just use that to kind of set in this eyeliner. So I've only taken the eyeliner along my lash line, and I'm gonna use this bronzer to add a little bit of warmth to kind of marry that eye makeup into the rest of the face. You can kind of like blend your eyeshadow brush out into the face, and it makes it look so much more melted and blended together. Can you tell there's a theme here? We want undetectable makeup, and I don't want to be able to see any lines anywhere. And whatever bronzer shade that you're using for the rest of the face is automatically going to work as like a perfect super light eyeshadow that's going to work for your skin tone instantly. If you wanted to, you could also take a smaller fluffy brush. You could also just pinch your other fluffy brush if you didn't want to use another one, and just run that along the lower lash line. That's also going to set in that eyeliner. And then I also saw a great tip once that said that when you take either your bronzer or a setting powder or an eyeshadow along your lower lash line and kind of go to that first big crease that you have, for me, it's like quite significant. There's a lot of room there. But if you take that product all along there, it's like the best and easiest way to set in the concealer underneath your eyes. And then it kind of removes any of that possible cakiness or powdery look under there too. Because if you just go in with setting powder, sometimes it can look a little dry and cakey. And it just doesn't look nice. But if you use a little tinted version, like your bronzer or eyeshadow, oh, magic. Instant natural smoky eye. And now I do think it would be wrong to not include some shimmer and some sparkle for a summer glowing glam. So I'm going to dip into this Charlotte Tilbury Beautifying Eye Trends palette. This is super neutral. And we're going to dip into this shade right here. I just want to put that right into the center of the lid. It just looks like little starshine sparkles. It's got a little bit of a brown and bronze hue to it, so it just perfectly matches the summer theme. And on top of this soft, soft smoky eye, oh my gosh, there is nothing more beautiful than a little shimmer on there, baby. If you want, you can actually bring it right up into the middle of the brow. It'll just look like there's little stars that have fallen onto your eyelid. Oh, no, it's so, so pretty. It makes such a difference. Then we're gonna finish off with mascara. This is the Tower 28 Drift Mascara. For the bright summer sunshine, you can switch to a brown mascara. It's still gonna give that lift and volume to the lashes, but it's just gonna be a little bit less harsh, a little bit more soft. I'm not gonna lie, whether it's summer or not, this is something that I do for my everyday makeup all the time. And I've now even brought that into my night out looks, my more glam looks too, because I just love the slightly softer version. I'm still getting big, thick lashes. I find it just suits my skin tone and my overall coloring a lot better. This is also the perfect mascara for the summertime because it doesn't flake, it doesn't transfer, and it's safe for sensitive eyes. So if you do get a little bit sweaty, if it's a little bit hot, this is gonna last all day and it's not gonna irritate your eyes at all. We love her. All right, now that the eyes are complete, we're gonna go back and finish up the face. So I'm gonna dip into a blush, and this is a gorgeous bright pink blush from the brand Manassi. It's an all-over color, so technically you can use it all over your face if you wanted. We could put it on the lips too, just to add a little bit of color there. Oh, it's such a pretty pink. And I'm gonna use this in the same method that we've done with all of our other cream products. I'm gonna dip my brush into the product, remove the excess onto the palm of my hand. You can see how pretty and soft that blush is. And I'm gonna use this to add a little bit of color back into the cheeks. I'm just gonna kiss right on top of the apples of my cheekbones. I always feel a little bit naked without blush. I find it just helps to bring so much color and life back into my face, especially when I'm putting more coverage all over and just removing any of the natural dimension. And I just love to press this right across, kind of in the same sun-kissed area that we did with the bronzer, just for the ultimate natural feel. I love that packaging, and that is such a pretty color. Using this on a small eyeshadow brush, I'm just going to use that to touch right on top of the cheekbones. I feel like we have quite a nice glow already from the blush and also our beautiful glowing primer underneath the skin, but I always love to add a little bit of extra highlight just right on top. Then we're going to use our Charlotte Tilbury setting powder just to set in the products mainly around the center of my face. I want to look glowy, not shiny, so I'm just going to take a little bit of this, especially on areas where I tend to get shiny throughout the day and maybe a little bit sweaty. So just right in the center of my face, a little bit on my forehead, underneath the eyes. But I did the same thing. I dipped my brush into the product, removed the excess onto the palm of my hand, and went in like that. And that will, again, just help us to not go overboard with the product, right? And then the final touch with some lip liner. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Cheat. And I'm gonna use that to add some shape to my lips, give them a little bit of extra plumping. And we already put a little bit of that pink blush onto the lip, so it already matches the blush so nicely. I love to match my lip and my blush. I don't know about you guys, but it's one of my favorite things to do for my makeup. And I like to take my little pinky finger and just use that to kind of blend the two colors together. Just push that lip liner into the lips, and it has a little blurring effect, kind of like a little lip stain, and looks a little bit more natural. And I think this pink is gonna complement the blush and the lip shade so well. Just apply that to the center of the lips to add a little bit of shine and a little bit more plump. Oh, we love a fresh pink juicy lip. So pretty. And this, my friends, is the finished makeup look. Easy, natural, glowing glam makeup for the summertime. I hope you guys learned a few new tips and tricks, and I hope you guys love the makeup look. You can shop all the products that I use from Revolve Beauty. They will be linked in the description box down below. And you can subscribe to the Revolve YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!